for joining the Movie Measure training. Before I begin, I'll give you some background on who we are and what your overall job entails. You may have seen ads play at the movie theaters before a movie starts. We are asked by our clients to ensure their ads are played in the correct way in front of a film. Our clients negotiate contracts with the theaters to agree which ads play in the order in which they are played in. Our clients need to make sure that ads are played in the theaters correctly and that it was in the way it was contractually agreed. To do this, our clients reach out to Movie Measure to have their ad programs checked in person in the theater. This is where you come in. So what we look for in a candidate is someone who's responsible, has attention to detail, and likes the movies. We ask that if you take a check with us that you do commit to following through. It does make it very difficult for us to find a replacement if it's too short notice, and it does put us in a very difficult situation with our clients if we commit to a theater and then have trouble finding a replacement. So to give you some background, we will be performing these checks at least once every month. When you accept an assignment, we will program your app ahead of time so you can see your upcoming assignment in the app. You'll need to download the Movie Measure app in advance, which we'll provide to you, and you'll need to register an account. Once your account is registered and you've signed up for your assignment with us and confirmed, we'll program your app and you'll see the assignment in the app. Now, when you look at the screen here, you can see the app is to the left and there is an example playlist to the right. If you look at the app quickly, you see 3 different views. You have a today screen, a schedule screen, a completed screen, and your assignments on the current day will always be under the today screen. If you have upcoming assignments, they'll be in scheduled, and anything completed will be in the completed screen. The on-screen ad checks, which is what you'll be doing, is spread over a 3-day period. This gives you 3 days of flexibility to look at the showtime schedule and plan to go and do the work when it's best for you and your schedule. The objective is for each theater that exactly 3 auditoriums are checked. You can go into any showtime you'd like, but you must complete all 3 auditoriums in the same day, and each time must be a different auditorium. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to look at the showtimes at the theater that you've signed up for and pick a day that works best for you, and then look at the showtimes to see what showtimes work best for your schedule. So for example, say you have an hour over lunch, you look up the showtimes and you see there are 3 different times for 3 different movies about 20 minutes apart. Star Wars at 12 p.m., Pitch Perfect at 12:20 p.m., and The Greatest Showman at 12:40 p.m. Once you've reviewed the schedule of the theater, when you check into the app, you'll only then create your tasks. So you're creating your schedule ahead of time of what you plan to do, but you won't actually create your tasks until you get to the theater and pull in the current show times at the theater and after you perform the theater check-in. Your assignment will be active in the app starting at the beginning of the 3-day period of your assignment. This 3-day period will always fall on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and typically at the beginning of the month, the first week. So you can go to the theater at any point over the course of the 3 days. You should arrive at the theater at least 20 to 30 minutes before the first showtime you plan to go to, as there is some work initially like creating your first task, getting the manager's signature. These things take a little bit of time. If a manager is delayed in getting to you or there's a little bit of unexpected traffic, just want to make sure you're not cutting it too close, which is really important that you get there in advance. It's only going to mess up the schedule that you've created for yourself because you'll have to audit a later showtime, and that would mean more time that you're spending in the theater. So it's important to understand how the ad pre-show works. Before every showtime, there are trailers and ads that run on screen. If you look at a given showtime of a film, that's usually when the trailers start. They run for about 10 to 20 minutes, and then the movie begins. So before the actual showtime of the movie is when the ads run on screen. This is called the pre-show. This pre-show can last anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes before the film, and it's made up of 2 parts. So if your showtime is at 10 a.m. and the pre-show is 40 minutes long, that means the pre-show for the ads start at 9:20 a.m. The first part is called the early pre-show, which runs first and is the longest. This is made up of mostly local ads like local restaurants or your local dry cleaners. We are not auditing the early pre-show. We're only auditing the second part, which is called the late pre-show. This is made up of national ads, and this can last anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. So the late pre-show is what you're auditing. And so your audit time is somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes per auditorium. Now, if we look at this playlist here on screen, you can see that there's about 48 ads in the early pre-show. You can see everything's marked as early pre-show. And then you can see the ad names here in the list. And you can also see how long each ad runs for, 12 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds, for instance. So there's a wide range of runtime for each of the ads. If you scroll down, you can see the late pre-show starts right after the 48th ad. And there are 7 ads in the late pre-show, and you can see the run times for each. The late pre-show ads tend to be a little bit longer than the early pre-show ads, which is good for you because it'll give you a little more time to recognize what you're watching on screen. And each of these playlists are broken up by rating for the film. Broken up by rating for the theater. So in advance, we'll give you this playlist for your theater for all of the ratings that you can review in advance. So for example, if you're auditing Pitch Perfect 3, that's the showtime you identified as that works for you best, you would want to look at the movie rating, and that will be referenced in the app. You'll look at the movie rating so you can reference the right playlist. You'll ahead of time want to make sure you print out all of the playlists that we sent to you and have them on hand so that you can review them when you're in the theater. But regardless of how many playlists there are, you'll be given this material in advance so you can prepare. But for a given theater, there could be 4 to 5 playlists. There's a PG, PG-13, an R, or sometimes there are specific playlists for a certain film with a certain rating. You can see here where the early pre-show begins and ends and the marker in between. Your marker is always going to be this F+C branding asset at ad number 48. This is the marker that the ad company puts in just before the early pre-show and the late pre-show. I'll show you an example of this as you go through the training. But you'll want to look for this it's called the front and center branding asset. And that's where they talk about the client's pre-show, where they call the pre-show the front and center pre-show. And they're basically saying, thank you for watching and keep watching for exclusive clips. That's your marker that your late pre-show is starting. When you walk into the theater, you'll see ads already running on screen because the pre-show starts 40 minutes before the film. So you want to use these playlists so you can quickly determine where you are in that playlist and use it to index yourself. For example, say you walk in and you see a David Yurman ad. David Yurman is ad 39 and ad 41. You'll look at the next ad and see what the next one after that is and say it's Affleck. And then you know you're at ad 40 and that there are 8 more ads before the late pre-show begins.